And the reason that it is so exciting to us and was exciting to you before you got here into these physical bodies is because you understood the laws of the universe. You knew that when you experienced contrast, that natural preferences would be born, and you knew that when the preference was born, that the work was done, because Source would be there with the preference, beckoning you toward the circumstances and events that would allow you the unfolding. You never ever said, I will ask and Source will create it and I will have nothing to do with it. You said, I will ask and Source will agree with it and Source will call me toward it. And if I will listen to the calling of Source, I will have the exhilaration of a joyful path unfolding as I get to personally discover the subtle nuances of the exposure of the circumstances and events that accomplish the fulfillment of what I'm looking for. You are the creator of your experience. Source is not badgering you or cracking the whip to get you to create your own experience. Source is supportive of the experience that you are creating because you are, hear this, you are, hear this. You are, oh, please hear this. You are creating it not only for you, but for you and that part of you that is Source. Source expands with you out here on the leading edge. So Source has the advantage of not being so involved in the nitty-gritty. Source can take the idea that you launch and ride it and expect it and know it. Source does not get involved in the nitty-gritty of where you stand in relationship to it. Source never says, where have you been? Where were you yesterday? Source never says, I told you before and you didn't listen, so now I'm not going to tell you. Again, that's your mother. Source says, you should know, dear one, you're out here living this life, and no one better for you to conclude your preferences than you. And we trust that you are concluding preferences based on valid life experience. And you can't get it wrong, and you never get it done. And the reason you can't get it wrong is because you never get it done. Which means no matter where you stand, you get to launch a new intention. And you're doing it. All of you are doing it. All humans, all beings are doing it all day, every day. But what we want to point out to you is that while you are doing a wonderful job of exploring contrast, just like you knew you would, and while you are doing a wonderful job, because you can't stop yourself from doing it, of launching rockets of desire into your vibrational escrow, and while Source is doing a wonderful job of seeing your vision and seeing your dream and knowing it and standing by it and adding all of the energy and all of the resources of Source, we like that combining of words, the resources of Source, the infinite resources of Source are there with your desire, being managed and set up for you, orchestrated in precision by law of attraction with anyone and everyone who will help you to accommodate it. While all of that has taken place, now all you must do is trust and believe in the laws of the universe and utilize your own guidance system to bring yourself incrementally and eventually and consistently into vibrational alignment with the things that you're asking for. And as you do that, those who watch you will stand in amazement. They will begin to notice that you are someone who launches an idea softly and stands in eager anticipation of it, exclaiming as circumstances and events give you constant evidence. And they will also begin to recognize you as those who are not one bit impatient about what has not yet come, because there is so much that is consistently coming that your plate is always full. They will begin to notice you as those who are satisfied where you are and eager for more. They will notice you as those who are exploring contrast just like everyone else, launching rockets of desire just like everyone else, but deliberately trying to see the best of where you stand, playing the positive what-if game, looking for reasons to feel good, trying your best to feel as good as you can feel right where you stand, because you have discovered long ago that when you make the worst of it, you move in the opposite direction of what you're wanting. And when you make the best of it, you move in the direction of what you are wanting. We've written a book called Ask and It Is Given. Wonderful title. And it is full of processes. We feel sorry for any of you who attempt all of them. We're eternal spewers of processes. But every process that we offer is with one intention in mind, to help you close that vibrational gap between who you are allowing yourself to be in this moment and who you really are. And so let's say that something has happened. It's been happening for a while. You've been focusing upon it, and you feel a strong sense of fear, even despair. And you want to feel bliss. Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. And we say, best words we've ever heard come out of a human mouth. But we also notice that when you're in despair, you can't even get a whiff of bliss. And if you set bliss as your goal, you can't find it. And so then you think something's wrong with you. And we say, follow your bliss, but stop off in revenge for a while. Because you have access to revenge while you don't have access to bliss. Now, many would be worried. Abraham, you've got to be kidding. You're really not encouraging my depressed friend to reach for revenge. And we say, yes, we are, because we're talking to your friend, not to you. And we know it's better for your friend to be in revenge than to be in fear or despair. And you or your friend, if you made the movement from despair into revenge or rage or anger, you'd know personally that it's a better place for you because you feel better. In despair, in grief, in fear, you can hardly breathe. In revenge, you're breathing again. Now, we don't want you to stay so long that you actually act on your revenge. Although we'd rather that you be in revenge and act on it than you stay in despair and grief. Because when you move up the emotional scale, you come closer to who you really are. And if you can make it into revenge, then you can make it into anger. And if you can make it into anger, then you can make it into overwhelmment and frustration. And if you can make it into frustration, you can make it into believing. And if you can make it into believing, you can make it into knowing. We would much rather that you be optimistic than pessimistic. Which much rather that you find the better feeling emotion. But we're wanting you to understand you're the one who's got to feel it. And only you can know if it feels better for you. The next thing that we want you to decide, if you really want to get good at utilizing your own guidance system, is that you're going to pay attention to the way you feel, and you're going to factor out how everybody else feels about the way you feel. Because when you try to factor in how they feel about the way you feel, now you've introduced impossible things for you to consider. Because you don't know their motives, you can't understand who they are, you don't really know what they want or why they want it. You don't have the ability to consider somebody else's guidance system, only your own. And the beautiful thing about considering your own is that you have incrementally given the information to Source one experience at a time, so that Source knows you so much better than you could even consciously articulate yourself. Because Source was involved in every conversation. Source saw every desire squirt out of you. Source saw your disappointments with yourself and others. Source saw your disappointment with your circumstances. And out of all of those experiences came your finely tuned, leading edge picture of what life would be better in the evolved you that you are becoming. Do you get this? You didn't come forth as a perfect being. You didn't come forth because God is perfect and finished. You came forth as an extension of that which man calls God for the joy of expansion. You're always going to be living life in this crack. The way you manage your life is about that, because you will always want something just beyond what is fully manifested. That's why you and we can continue to be eternal. So when you make peace with the incompletion, when you relax in knowing that it's always going to be evolving and increasing and getting better and better, instead of beating up on yourself because there is a gap between something that you want and where you are, now you're home free. One other thing we want to say to you is that sometimes we can feel impatience here. And there's never a reason for impatience when you have knowledge of how to close the gap. You only need to be patient if you don't know how to close the gap. Some of you say, I've wanted this for 20 years and I'm trying to be patient. And we say, oh, for heaven's sakes, don't be patient, close the gap. In other words, if it hasn't come quickly, and we're not talking about years, we're not talking about months, we're not talking about weeks, we're talking about days. Anything that you want should evolve nearly as quickly as you can conceive of it. If you are in a position where this environment has inspired within you an idea, it's as good as done. If you can conceive of the idea, you can have the manifestation. You don't need a long time in the crack. But there will always be a crack. Because Contrast will cause you to send something to vibrational escrow. Source will agree with it and call you to it. As you hear the call and listen to the beat of the drum and find the thoughts that feel good, you'll find alignment with it and you'll receive manifestation. And then you'll be on a new platform with a new set of contrasting experiences, which will give birth to another rocket of desire, which at first you will not be a vibrational match to. But you'll hear the calling of it. And as you listen for the calling of it and you reach for the thoughts that feel best and you move up the emotional scale, you'll become a vibrational match to it. And then it will manifest and you'll say whoopee for a moment, and then you'll be in this contrasting place where you give birth to another rocket of desire, which at first you will not be a vibrational match to. Eternally in the crack, eternally on the leading edge, eternally riding the wave of the current that your desires have set forth for you. It is a glorious place to be. Someone said, Abraham, I wanted to ask you this question, but my friend said I couldn't because it's too frivolous, but I've decided to ask it anyway. And we said, we're glad, because we've been waiting for this question for a very long time, because it provides us an opportunity to give you the answer that we've been wanting to give you for a very long time. He said, are you ready? We said, we are. Why does the dog put its head out the window of the car? And risk getting bugs in its eyes? And we said, because the ride is so worth it. And you say, why would I come forth into a physical body, into an environment of contrast, and get bugs in my eyes? And we say, because the ride is so worth it. Because out of that contrast, you give birth to desires that cause an evolution of the universe. And when you reacquaint yourself with your own emotional guidance system, and you are able to bring yourself into vibrational alignment with who you really are, nothing is better than to be in a physical body on the leading edge of thought with conscious awareness that you do create your own reality, and awareness of the emotions that help you to know your alignment or misalignment in any moment in time.